Stop drinking your water and expecting it to do all the work. I know that sounds like a strange thing for a doctor to say, because for decades, the advice has been simple. Drink more water, stay hydrated, and your skin will thank you. That advice isn't wrong. Water really is essential, and if you're not drinking enough of it, nothing else on this list will matter much. But plain water on its own can only do part of the job, especially after 60, when your skin is dealing with changes that hydration alone can't fully address. Today, I want to walk you through 5 things you can add to your daily water that are backed by real, published research. Not miracle claims, not one weird trick, just solid nutritional science explained in plain language. I'll tell you exactly how each one works in your body, what the evidence actually shows, how strong or limited that evidence is, and how to use each one sensibly. And I'll be honest with you about the limits of that evidence too, because you deserve real information, not hype dressed up as science. I'm Dr. James Revealio, and this is Science of Wellness, a channel built for adults in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who want health information that respects their intelligence and doesn't talk down to them. Before we get into the list, let's spend a few minutes on why this matters specifically after 60, because understanding the underlying biology will make every recommendation that follows much more meaningful, rather than just a list of things to add to a glass of water. What actually changes in your skin as you age? Collagen is the structural protein that gives skin its firmness, elasticity, and ability to bounce back after being stretched or pressed. It's well established in the scientific literature that natural collagen production slows with age. Many researchers estimate a gradual decline that begins as early as your late 20s or early 30s and continues steadily from there, adding up to a substantial and visible loss of collagen density by the time you reach your 60s and 70s. Collagen isn't only a skin protein either. It's the scaffolding for your joints, your blood vessels, your tendons, and connective tissue throughout your entire body, which is part of why so many people notice joint stiffness and skin changes arriving around the same stretch of life. At the same time, your skin's ability to hold onto moisture changes too. Hyaluronic acid, a molecule that can bind many times its own weight in water, is naturally present in the deeper layers of your skin, and its levels also tend to decline with age. That's part of why skin can look and feel drier and thinner later in life, even when you're drinking plenty of water. The internal sponge that holds moisture in place at the cellular level isn't working quite as efficiently as it used to, so the water you drink doesn't stay where you need it as effectively. There's a third piece of the puzzle that gets less attention. The enzymes and biological signals your fibroblasts depend on to actually synthesize new collagen become less abundant with age as well. Your fibroblasts, the cells responsible for manufacturing collagen, don't disappear. They're still there, and they're still capable of doing their job. What changes is their access to raw materials and the right biological environment to work efficiently. None of this means the situation is hopeless. What it means is that thoughtful, evidence-based additions to your daily water intake can genuinely help support this process, alongside the fundamentals that always matter most. Sun protection, a balanced diet with adequate protein, not smoking, staying active, and regular checkups with your physician or dermatologist. Nothing you add to a glass of water replaces those basics, but it can meaningfully support them. Let's get into the countdown, starting at number 5 and working our way up to the combination I recommend most often. Number 5, fresh lemon juice. This is the simplest item on the list, and it holds up well scientifically, which is exactly why it earns its spot. Vitamin C is not optional for collagen production. It's a required cofactor. Your body needs it to complete a chemical step called hydroxylation, which stabilizes collagen's distinctive triple helix structure. Without adequate vitamin C, the collagen your fibroblasts attempt to build is structurally weaker and less stable. This isn't a theory or a wellness trend. It's basic, well-documented biochemistry, and it's part of the reason classic vitamin C deficiency, known as scurvy, historically caused visible skin fragility, slow wound healing, and connective tissue breakdown in sailors and others who went without fresh produce for long stretches. Squeezing half a fresh lemon into a glass of room temperature or lukewarm water gives you a modest but genuinely useful dose of vitamin C, along with citrus flavonoids like Hesperidin, which some research suggests may support how efficiently the body absorbs and uses vitamin C. It's inexpensive, it's easy on the stomach for most people, and it's a simple habit that's easy to keep up long term, which matters more than any single ingredient's potency. Consistency is what produces results with nutrition, a practical note worth taking seriously. If you're on certain blood pressure medications, blood thinners, or you have acid reflux or a history of ulcers, talk to your doctor before making citrus a daily habit. Citrus can interact with a small number of medications, and its acidity can bother some people's digestion, particularly on an empty stomach. If that's you, try diluting it further or having it alongside a small amount of food instead. Number 4, silica-rich mineral water. This one surprises people because silica sounds like something you'd find in a construction supply store, not a health drink. But biological silica, found naturally in certain mineral waters, whole grains, oats, and some vegetables like leafy greens and green beans, is a trace mineral that some research links to connective tissue and bone health. A limited but genuine number of published studies have examined dietary silicon intake alongside markers of skin and connective tissue health, and some have found associations between higher silicon intake and indicators of better skin elasticity and bone density. I want to be honest with you about where this stands. This is a smaller and less definitive body of research than the vitamin C evidence we just discussed, and scientists are still working out exactly how much of a difference dietary silica makes on its own, separate from everything else in a person's diet. It's a reasonable, low-risk addition to consider, not a guaranteed transformation, and I wouldn't want you spending significant money chasing it as a standalone miracle. If you'd like to try it, look for mineral waters that specifically list silica or silicon dioxide content on the nutrition label. Not every bottled water contains a meaningful amount. Treat it as one small piece of an overall balanced diet rather than a solution by itself, and don't feel you need to hunt down an exotic imported brand. Any water that discloses a reasonable silica content will do. Number 3, aloe vera inner leaf juice. Most people know aloe vera only as something you rub on a sunburn. Fewer know that the clear inner leaf gel, not the outer green rind, and not the yellow latex layer just beneath the skin of the leaf, has also been studied as something you can drink. Aloe vera inner leaf contains a polysaccharide called asparagine, and some laboratory research along with a handful of small clinical studies have looked at its effects on skin hydration and the behavior of skin cells. The research here is genuinely interesting and worth watching, but it's also still developing, and much of what exists comes from smaller trials rather than the large, definitive studies we have for something like vitamin C. What we can say with more confidence is that properly processed inner leaf aloe vera juice is generally well tolerated by most healthy adults. One safety note that matters more as we get older: only use products clearly labeled inner leaf, inner fillet, or decolorized and purified. The aloin-containing latex layer near the outer rind is a strong laxative compound that can cause significant digestive upset, cramping, and electrolyte disturbances, and older adults are more vulnerable to those effects than younger people. Start with a small amount to see how your system responds, and check with your doctor first if you take diuretics, heart medications, or other drugs that affect fluid and electrolyte balance, since aloe can interact with several of them. Number 2. Bone broth or hydrolyzed collagen peptides. This is where the science gets genuinely solid, and it's one of the better supported entries on this entire list. When collagen-rich connective tissue, bones, cartilage, skin, is simmered for a long time, it breaks down into gelatin, and your digestive system further breaks that gelatin down into small peptide fragments during digestion. There is a real and growing body of published, peer-reviewed clinical research, including a number of randomized, placebo-controlled trials examining hydrolyzed collagen peptide supplements and their effects on skin outcomes. Several of these trials have reported measurable improvements in skin elasticity and hydration after consistent daily use over roughly 2 to 3 months, with some of the more consistent findings appearing in postmenopausal and older adult women specifically. This is genuinely one of the more consistently replicated findings in the nutritional dermatology literature at this point, which is why I take it seriously when I discuss it with my own patients, and why it ranks this high on the list. Bone broth itself provides some collagen-derived peptides along with minerals like calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus, though the actual concentration varies enormously depending on how it's prepared. Homemade broth simmered for many hours, often with a splash of vinegar added early on to help draw minerals out of the bone, tends to be considerably more concentrated than a quick 30-minute stovetop version or many store-bought broths. If you'd rather skip the hours of simmering, a standardized hydrolyzed collagen peptide powder. Ideally, one that discloses its hydroxyproline content on the label, since that amino acid is a reliable marker of genuine collagen content, is a reasonable and more consistent alternative, and it's actually the form most of the published clinical research used. Typical studied doses range from about 2.5 to 15 grams of hydrolyzed collagen peptides a day, dissolved in water, tea, or a warm drink of your choice. As always, if you have kidney disease or you're on a protein-restricted diet for any medical reason, check with your physician before adding a concentrated protein supplement to your routine, since your kidneys process the byproducts of protein metabolism and your doctor may want to keep your intake within a specific range. Number 1. Hydrolyzed collagen peptides in cold-brewed green tea. This combination sits at the top of the list because it pairs two ingredients that work through genuinely different, complementary mechanisms. One supplying the raw material your fibroblasts need, the other supporting the broader cellular environment in which collagen production actually happens. We just covered the evidence for collagen peptides, so let's talk about what green tea adds to the equation. Green tea is rich in a class of compounds called catechins, especially one known as EGCG, which is among the most extensively studied antioxidant compounds in all of nutrition science. Laboratory research has shown that EGCG can help protect skin cells from oxidative stress caused by sun exposure and normal metabolic processes, and some studies suggest it may influence the activity of certain enzymes involved in breaking down existing collagen, though this specific skin-focused research is still an active and evolving area rather than settled fact. Green tea's broader health profile, including a substantial body of research connecting regular consumption to cardiovascular and metabolic benefits, is some of the best established territory in nutrition science generally, which gives me real confidence recommending it as a daily habit, even setting the skin-specific angle to one side. To prepare this drink properly, cold brew 4 to 6 green tea bags, or about 2 tablespoons of loose-leaf green tea, in a pitcher of water in the refrigerator overnight, roughly 8 to 12 hours. Cold brewing tends to produce a smoother, less bitter, and less acidic cup than hot brewing, which many older adults find considerably easier on the stomach. In the morning, stir in your hydrolyzed collagen peptide powder, following the dose recommended on the product's own label, typically somewhere in the 5 to 15 gram range, and drink it alongside a light breakfast rather than on a completely empty stomach if you have any history of stomach sensitivity or acid reflux. One practical caution worth mentioning: green tea does still contain some caffeine even when cold brewed, so if you're caffeine sensitive, have a heart rhythm condition, or your doctor has asked you to limit caffeine intake for any reason, look for a decaffeinated green tea instead. The catechin content is only modestly reduced by the decaffeination process, so you're not giving up much of the benefit. Putting it all together, honestly, I want to be straightforward with you about something before we close, because I think you deserve that honesty more than you deserve another impressive sounding claim. None of these 5 additions is a substitute for the fundamentals. Eating a balanced diet with adequate protein, protecting your skin from sun exposure, not smoking, managing chronic conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure, well, staying physically active, and seeing a dermatologist for anything that genuinely concerns you. Ranking the evidence honestly, the research on hydrolyzed collagen peptides is the strongest and most consistently replicated of the 5 items I've covered today. Vitamin C's role in collagen synthesis is basic, settled biochemistry that's been understood for close to a century. Silica and aloe vera have smaller, promising, but genuinely less conclusive research behind them, and I'd encourage you to think of them as reasonable low-risk additions rather than proven interventions. Green tea has one of the best overall health safety profiles of anything on this list, with its skin-specific benefits still being actively researched, even as its general health benefits are well documented. If you take one thing home from this video, let it be this: The changes happening in your skin as you age are real, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But they are not a switch that flips from fine to unfixable the day you turn 60. Your body is still capable of responding meaningfully to the right inputs, given consistent time. Small, consistent, evidence-based habits, not miracle products promising overnight transformation, are what the actual research supports and what I've seen make a real difference for the patients I work with. Before you make any significant change to your diet or supplement routine, especially if you take prescription medications or manage a chronic health condition, please talk with your physician or a registered dietitian first. What I've shared with you today is general health education intended to help you have an informed conversation, not a personalized medical recommendation, and your own doctor knows your health history and your medication list in a way that I simply can't from a video. If you found this useful, I genuinely appreciate it if you'd subscribe to Science of Wellness and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. We publish evidence-based content specifically for adults in their 60s, 70s, and 80s every single week. And no, we're not selling you a product tucked into this video. Just information you can actually use and take to your own doctor. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Which of these 5 would you try first? And is there a change you've already made that's genuinely made a difference for your skin or your health more broadly? I read every comment personally, and your questions often shape what I cover in future videos. Take care of yourself. Your body has carried you this far, and with the right information, the honest kind, not the hype, it can keep carrying you well into the years ahead.